The government has shut down.
Government shut down.
Surprise, surprise.
Let's go.
Not now.
There, welcome back. Today, really interesting conversation. Lots been happening in our overall economy, and we need to talk about how that potentially plays itself out, as well as how that affects what's happening in the real estate market. So, happened before. It's happened many times before. This one feels a little different. And what are your thoughts on that historically?
Historically, some things to think about. Typically does not really affect the stock market. Mm-hmm. Looking back over the last 15 shutdowns, some end up a little higher, some end up lower, but not major activity there. I think it's pertinent to talk about today how it affects real estate.
Yes.
Right. VA loans, IRS verification, FHA, mm-hmm. And even, something I don't think a lot of people consider is that federal employees are also buying homes, selling homes.
Right.
So right now, if you're a federal employee, you are not working. You are out of a job. The government has shut down, and just the Department of Justice alone employs like over 100,000 people.
Well, and a lot of people think that it's like, oh, government shut down. You're just staying at home. You're still getting paid. That's not how that works.
No, it's completely shut down.
Right. Which means they're not getting those paychecks.
Yeah, and they're not. The government isn't reporting data. There's a lot of things that are happening that we won't see today. That the fallout, even if miraculously, we come to an agreement and we're open by the end of the week, you're going to see this fallout over the next 3 months for sure.
Sure. And a lot of things that you're saying right now, news is reporting that as well. Can you walk me through, being a little more novice than you about this subject, what mechanically happens to shut the government down? What mechanically happens to get everybody back to work and have things continue?
Right now, it's basically a budget approval that we're missing.
Okay.
Right. And oftentimes, and it's the budget for the government.
Right.
Right. And oftentimes,
2026.
Right. What happens is they'll have a stopgap budget, which means, Alan, we don't agree, but let's fund another month while we talk it out. We're kind of at a stalemate right now. And this is typically a lever that politicians use to get the other side to give some concessions.
Yeah, you were remarking the other day that regardless of the political party in power, when the government shuts down, that party suffers.
Yeah, whoever's in power traditionally has received the brunt of the negativity around the government shutting down, right? And it's going to be a touchy subject for a lot of people, but you've got President Trump quoted when he's not the president saying the president is totally responsible for the government shutdown, right? Sure. Today, I don't think he has that same stance. It's, the Democrats, and the Democrats are saying, suck it, Republicans. It's your turn. You did this to us. We're going to do it to you. Mm-hmm. It causes a lot of backlash within the political parties themselves, right? Because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people that work in and around Washington, D.C., are now out of a job. Your paycheck cuts off.
Yeah.
Benefits are cut off. People go into the Social Security office today to get a copy of their Social Security ID. There's no one there. Right. That brings things to a screeching halt, especially in real estate, because a lot of the things, mechanisms and types of loan approval and stuff like that has to do with functions of the government. So,
well, and interesting enough, it also is affecting some of our Indian tribal land.
Sure.
Right. Yep. There's federal employees involved in that process that aren't there to process the things that need to happen.
Right. It's a
so then shutdown. They get to the negotiating table. They're kind of pounding out this budget. Are they going to meet about that? Is that done?
Yeah. So they're still going to meet. Even it just depends. It's not always the same, right? Sometimes there's an appetite on both sides to move the ball forward.
Sure.
And sometimes it's kind of hey, I know it's going to take 30 days before you guys buckle and give us what we want. Each party is going to take this time to go out to the media and say, here's why it's their fault that they've shut down. Right. We don't want this thing in the stopgap spending bill. Mm-hmm. Right. And so right now you're hearing a lot of stuff about healthcare in there, and it's really used as leverage for the party that's typically not in power,
right,
to stop things, to get items that they want into a stopgap funding bill.
Yeah, kind of move it back to the middle as much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's peculiar to me that right after the last Fed meeting, that this is now kind of on the table. And I think the last Fed meeting, when they reduced the rate by a quarter point, that moved markets.
Yeah.
Do you find the timing around this government shutdown, like it was already pending? Because
it's been pending. I like to follow politics, right?
Yeah, you may or may not read often.
Right. I like to read all the time. This has been coming. It's been, and typically this is how it goes. It's rare that you get a big, beautiful bill, something that can pass, right? Something that's monumental. Typically, it's these little moves. Let's keep funding just till we get to the next month, and then typically something happens around elections or, in this case, end of the year. I don't think the Fed cutting rates is a catalyst to this. This is more, I would say, political in nature.
Yeah, the timing around it is that. And the Fed is more looking at the dials of the economy, trying to make sure that we get to, what do they call it now, a soft landing, right?
Soft landing, not going to happen. Has not happened.
Close towards neutral policy.
Yeah, well, the Fed, is an independent body, and they have their mandate, right? And there's some ideas around, should that change? They're looking for below 2% inflation. Our last inflation report came out, and it was hot. They're really in a tough spot because we've got tariffs going on. We've got a lot of income coming in from that, but it's slowing down our GDP.
Yep.
Right. And so the Fed's also looking at GDP. They're looking at jobless claims. One of the things that's happening now, the government shut down, guess what? That body that reports jobless claims is no longer working. They're shut down too. So a lot of that data that different bodies of the government use to make decisions is also been shut down.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting outcome.
So this time right now feels interesting to me for a couple of different reasons, and learning more about how the big things move around and affects us at a local level. Given the ingredients that you're seeing in the pot at the moment, what does that mean for, I'm looking to buy my house, I'm considering selling my house? What does it look for those people? Is it a bad time?
It's never a bad time because it's a highly personal thing.
Sure.
Right? If grandma passed away and we're paying for her house and can't afford it, it's the best time to sell that house. Doesn't matter if it's an up-down market, right? The real issue is that right now, in transactions that are going on, you and I have several that are going to be affected by this. It's more uncertainty around that.
Setting expectations around timing.
That's how we handle it, right? Is immediately it was call the agent, hey, just so you know, my clients still want to buy it. Your clients still want to sell it. It's a VA loan. There's some questions around the timeline, right, of when that's going to happen. But just so we know, keep the communication open, and we're still committed, regardless if that 30-day escrow becomes a when's the government going to open type of escrow. And that's really where we're at today, is more uncertainty in the marketplace. I think that's opportunity time. Right. When people don't know yes or no, that's a time to make a bold decision and, get a higher return on your profit for that. When everyone thinks it's a great time to buy, it stops being a great time to buy, right? Because everyone rushes into the marketplace. So it's interesting how that works. I still think it's opportunity time in the marketplace.
Of real estate.
Real estate, and if we're talking about stock market, commodities typically do really well when there's uncertainty about the government. So Bitcoin, gold, real estate, these things are probably going to appreciate in value.
The weird ones like zinc and wheat.
Exactly. The longer this goes on.
A physical thing.
Yeah, and something that has a use case, right? You can speculate on a company like United Healthcare. Are they going to have a real big profit this year? Is it going to be low, right? That's what kind of buying that stock is. Buying a piece of gold, it's used in electronics, it's used for jewelry, it's a store of value. It's a different animal. And so you'll see folks move from the volatility and uncertainty of stocks to things that are very certain, like commodities.
Yeah, well, and we even saw a huge shift in our local marketplace around the luxury market.
Yeah.
In the last 18 months, that market has been hotter than it's ever been before. People kind of getting out of that casino-like game, because it feels pretty casino-like to me in the stock market, and they're moving into a hard asset.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at the roulette table and red has come up 20 times in a row.
Sure.
We're on a historic bull run for the market, right? We did have a little dip in there, and people can striate the market into small caps, large caps, stuff like that. We've been doing really well for not really any reason, right? And so I think a lot of the writing on the wall is people start to get really scared and think, wait a minute, it's been red 20 times in a row. It's about to flip black. Yep. And so you see folks moving around money out of maybe stock market into more secure assets that might not return a dividend or, provide some things that stocks do.
Yes. We're doing word of the day with Roy now.